We look behind me and I look in front of me and I see the downtown area, but everything that we see here is some way related to every community here in this city. Everything that we do here, whether the construction, whether the design, whether the architecture, engineers, the construction workers, the maintenance people, all have an effect upon the quality of life of our city. So it's not a downtown development, it's really a development for the city. At the same time, each one of these business leaders in front of me have given back, not just in the downtown area in regard to the jobs and the commitment they have made, but most importantly into the community. I could go around this room and mention each one of them, and they could tell me about education, they could tell me about affordable housing, they could tell me about human relations, they could tell me about economic development, affordable housing, all the things that go into the city. Each and every one of them here have made a difference in our communities. And that is a difference of Chicago. It's not just a downtown development, it's a community development that really brings the city together block by block. And so I really thank all the business leaders that truly have made a difference in the history of the city of Chicago, all the way back from the Burnham Plan and even today. What they provide for me, I think the envy of the country and the world that mayors know that we have business leaders that do step up to the plate, that want to give their time, yes, and their money and their effort on behalf of the quality of life of the city of Chicago. And that's why Chicago is succeeding. I have said time and time again that we do not get involved in the partisan politics that you see today. Many times on a local level, on a state and a national level. I'm not a Democratic mayor. I'm a mayor of the city of Chicago. I elected by the people of the city of Chicago. I've had endorsements by maybe Democrats, but being elected, after you're elected, you are not a Democratic president. You're not a Democratic governor. You're not a Democratic mayor. You're a mayor, you're a governor, and the president. We have to set aside partisan politics that is getting into the way of the visionaries right here in this room and around America, so we can forge ahead to improve the quality of life. I think we have to look at that. Elections, every 2 years we have elections in America. It seems like that's why we can't get things done. And we have to realize that elections are an opportunity, yes, for the public to voice their opinion. At the same time, to give you the opportunity to make the decisions. Do not worry about the next election. You should be worrying about the decisions you're going to make on behalf of the quality of life of your respective offices. And to me, that's what we have to do. If we don't do that, then our competition in the world looks at us in a different way. We cannot be blaming the rest of the world for all the problems we have in America. Our forefathers fought for this country, went through a civil war, went through wars across the world to protect democracy, and even today. We should roll up our sleeves and think about our forefathers and what they did for us, and we should be able to do the same thing in America. The United States of America is bigger than any of us. It is looked upon, envy of the rest of the world, and I firmly believe the optimism we should have. At the same time, we should be understanding the position we're in, but we should be much more optimistic. We should forge ahead as a country to realize what we have done not only here, but the sacrifice we have made for the world, such a young nation. And I just came back from the Republic of Korea, and to see outpouring of people there who love America, and to go to a memorial over about 1,200 young men were killed in Korea, a kind of a forgotten war, and to see their names going down aisles and the names of how young they were, and to realize the sacrifice they made for the Republic of Korea, and to see the love and affection they have for America. I mean it. I don't think we realize what is taking place in the rest of the world, and we have to reinforce ourselves. And I think the business leaders can do that as much as any other political leader in the country. You have to realize you have enormous impact in community people and non-for-profits and religious coming together. And to me, that's how I look at America. But here in Chicago, we look at the economy as we have to be aggressive, and we have to realize that we have to look at something differently. The planned manufacturing districts, and we have to see what can take place when we have technology and manufacturing. I really believe technology replaced 10,000 hands. The Industrial Revolution took place 100 years in America, and we rebuilt America. But the Industrial Revolution in the world will be much quicker to nations. It's not going to last 100 years. It could last 15 or 20 years. That one piece of technology will replace all the hands in a large factory so quickly, and that's what we must understand, and that's why we have to be aggressive, understanding that America can always be flexible and change. And here in Chicago, we always accepted change. You're willing to change. If you're not, you live in the past. Chicago respects the past. We live in the present, but always look to the future. And just this morning, I was just out on the west side with the creative class of Crate & Barrel. It's a wonderful company here in Chicago. And they went to Lake Street on the west side at Nashland, and about 200 people, 250 people moving back creative class in regards to doing something for that company, because the young people that are living here, we call it the creative class, and they are here. And that's very important. At the same time, this morning going out to the south side to a school, and listen to the principal, how he was so excited he's turned around the school, and to see the parents, and at the same time see volunteers that are coming in to volunteer on behalf of another generation of young men and women in an urban setting, so that we don't allow them to be distracted by gangs, guns, or drugs, or the way of American life is maybe sent to prison. So that reinforces your faith in people, and reinforces your faith, I believe, in America. But most importantly, when we talk about jobs, it's about technology. And all the things that I can do in our Chicago Public Schools is to make sure that every child is learning through technology and understands technology, so he or she can compete in the world. At the same time, understanding that you have to give them opportunities and to see things differently at earlier ages, so they can understand they can do anything in life. There are many opportunities in dealing with the economy, and that has to happen both in our schools and both in our city, which is happening today. And of course, the quality of life of every city. If you look at American cities, most people moved out of American cities because the quality of education was not there. And I could never ask someone to stay here on the belief that someday that school is going to change, because you can only give your children the moral values from yourself and your religious beliefs, and secondly, a good education. If you fail on that, then you fail your child. And America has failed children overwhelmingly in regards to the quality of education that we're giving. And that's why in 1995, when I decided to take over the schools, every one of my political consultants said, Mr. Mayor, it ends your career. You cannot venture into that. It's too controversial. No one's going to solve it. You leave it independently. But I, as a mayor, knew that young people love the city. They love to stay in the city. And all of a sudden they got married, they had a child, and the first thing they said is, where can I send my child to school? And I could not answer that. I could not answer that as a mayor. And so we have these young people all over America moving out into the suburban area overwhelmingly for one reason, their child. And we understand that. And they wanted to make sure that child gets an education. And that's why when I took over the schools, I looked at a child, I said, that child who comes from a broken family, very poor, didn't know their parents, they should have an opportunity to get a good education. They're creative, they're smart, but some way you shut the door on them. And that's why in 1995, in taking over the school system, I think it was the most important decision ever made for our city and the rest of America, because you have to get involved. Don't worry about your political career. Don't worry about your political office. Worry about that child that, if you don't educate it, has a huge effect on one generation and another generation. And that's why education must be a cultural change in America. It cannot be accepted the way we're doing. And I'm very excited about everyone now realizing that education is the key to success of Chicago and of our city in America. If we don't have that, if we don't ingrain that in our children, that's a learning environment, not in the school, but in the community, in the church, in your home. There's a learning environment. And that's why education, to me, is the answer. Those cities that have not taken that responsibility will fall farther and farther behind. There are no gimmicks. It requires tough decisions. It requires compromises. But at the same time, the children come first and no one else's. And reinventing schools means truly reinventing. Be not afraid of charter schools. Be not afraid of contract schools. because you're looking at the quality of education. And the child comes first. Adults do never come first. A child should come first in education. But at the same time, the environment is important, because if you don't have an environment in the community, in the city, and that deals with environmental changes. And so when a politician usually gets up and mandates and speaks to the business community, they exempt themselves. The federal government was noted for that. Government always exempt themselves from what they tell the business community. I said to myself, why don't we lead by example as we build a rooftop on City Hall, as we change the landscape and everything else? The city did it. And then in turn working with the business community, dealing with their developments, dealing with their rehab and changes so they could understand it's a cooperative way. We're not mandating. It is good for your business. It is good for your employees. It is good for the city. And I really, Frank, they have responded overwhelmingly, not by force, but they understood that from their own family and from their own employees in dealing with their operation. Again, the business community becomes a standard bearer for change in the environment. They're not standing in the way. Here in Chicago, they're leading the way. And again, to me, that represents what we need in America, cooperation and understanding here in our cities. And when we look at Chicago in the future, and you see this wonderful lakefront, the Burnham Plan. Then you see the extension of the Burnham Plan. Then you see the river, the extension of the lake throughout the river. And then in turn, you see parks and open spaces. Then you see the railroads, that we can accomplish so much dealing with abandoned railroads and what we can accomplish in parks and open space. Then you see a school, an urban school, that has landscaping, that has a friendly park. It becomes part of the community. And then in turn, you see public transportation being friendly, on time, and safe, and clean, which is really important, becoming part and parcel, that you know standing there, that you know with your phone, yet you know what time that bus is going to be there. You're not waiting for a half hour. At the same time, you're looking at a high-speed train from O'Hare Field downtown. Why is that important? That reinforces our commercial development. That reinforces the importance of downtown, from an airport, international airport, bringing people into the downtown area and expanding that. Again, it shows you that all of us have to have the willingness to serve. And the business community serves on all the boards and commissions and serves on the committees dealing with the changes of the city of Chicago. And I'm very, very grateful to all of them. And at the same time, in confidence in the future of our great city. And to me, that is confidence that you have to have in its people, and not just in one person, but the entire city. That you have confidence in the future, that Chicago is getting stronger every day. At the same time, yes, there are obstacles, there are issues out there, but be not afraid. We are not afraid of the future, and be not afraid of making decisions. And you have to be a decision maker. The successful people here are decision makers. And you have to make decisions. If you don't, then you fail in your life in making changes in your business or in government. And today, the city of Chicago, to me, represents the future. And the future belongs to those who are willing to make the decisions necessary to move our agenda forward. And this great award represents, and I looked at the other honorees, both from the private sector, not-for-profit sector, in government, that truly have made a difference on behalf of their communities in not only our country, but the world. And Mayors Urban Land Institute is an organization that truly can help mayors, not just the United States, but throughout the world. And to me, that is the movement of this century. More and more people on a daily basis are moving to cities around the world. And we, as a nation, have to go out there and say, yes, we have the professional people. We can help you. To me, that does more good than anything else in the world, that we're coming to mayors around the world and say, we want to help you. And to me, that is the most inspiring thing that all of us can do in the rest of the world, to realize that America is a leader and that America can make changes. But at the same time, we're willing to send the best and brightest around the world to help the rest of the world. And that's what the Urban Land Institute, I think, will do in that aspect in regards to this great country. But Chicago, to me, is the best. It's the best because of its people. It is the best because there's a love of the city. It's the best because we've seen the most difficult challenges we've seen. At the same time, we walk out with a positive attitude that we're going to make a difference today. And all of you have made a difference. I thank you for this award. On behalf of the great people of the city of Chicago, on behalf of my family and the appropriate charities represent, I think, a scholarship for elementary and high school, a wonderful Children's Memorial Hospital here, and I want to thank Ann Laurie that is here as well, their great contribution they have made into children here in our city, in our world, that will make a difference. And at the same time, After School Matters, that makes a difference in the lives of teenagers, the inspiration you get when you hear from a teenager saying, I graduate from After School Matters, that gave me that curiosity that I thought I could never be that. And today I'm in college going on to what I want to accomplish because of that. And that's what a city's all about. It's not about me, it's about people like yourself that are willing to say, it's all worth it in our life. Thank you very much.